What's up, motherfuckers? Welcome back to the Thunderdome.
Potty, she talking naughty. Here to help your trouble, she don't judge nobody. Even if you're not at your top and it's a lie, she try to make you see a different train of thought.
I don't know if like a therapy channel could be considered the Thunderdome, but in my world it is. Hello, amazing humans, and welcome back to my channel for season 3. I am the Pottymouth Guru, and I am welcoming you back into my world of crazy healing things. My mission is to help you learn how to unfuck yourselves, become the architects of your own lives, your own minds, self-actualize, and live the life that you were meant to live. If you like what you see here, you know what I'm gonna ask you to do. I want you to go in, I want you to hit that like button, I want you to subscribe to my channel because I've got so much good shit coming down the motherfucking pipeline. And if you find this helpful and you think that someone might be able to benefit from it, please share it. Okay? Share. Today's topic is relationships. Yup, relationships. Everything that we do in our lives requires us to be in relationship, and this is particularly with a significant other, although these tips will definitely work towards family and friends and all that kind of shit. And you know what? We've been in a fucking pandemic for almost 2 years, and our relationships are under the microscope, right? Because we're like in close quarters with people and all the things have come up and we're learning all sorts of stuff. So how do we know if our relationship is healthy or if it's toxic or if it's both? Well, we shall explore that here together. Today we're going to be looking at 3 different things that are toxic that can happen in a relationship and 3 other things that happen in healthy relationships, to give you a little bit of a balance, says the Libra. You know, when we have trauma in our backgrounds, as so many people do, I mean, some would argue that fucking everybody has trauma in their backgrounds, it can be really hard to distinguish, you know, what's a healthy thing in a relationship, what's toxic in a relationship. It can just be hard depending on what our childhoods looked like. It's easy to get our wires crossed. And we have this thing where we romanticize toxic habits in relationships. And it's because it's entwined in our culture. It's all over pop culture. It's in film and television, it's in music, it's in fucking poetry and spoken word. We also have this fixation on the romantic falling in love part of love. We're actually addicted to it, literally. When we're in this state, our brains start to release really feel-good chemicals like dopamine, oxytocin, adrenaline, vasopressin, and that shit lights up our neural receptors like a motherfucking Rockefeller Christmas tree. Yep, we literally get addicted to our partners. And biologically, it's the draw in terms of our species looking to procreate. And if you look at it from a spiritual perspective, it's that attractive draw into the lessons that we're meant to learn with that person. You know, if there was a shitty lesson and we could see it coming from a million miles, that's gonna hurt. We'd be like, nope, thanks, pass on that one. So it's gotta be attractive, it's gotta draw us in, and then boom, it happens and we're like, fuck! But it's good for us ultimately if we're able to grow from it. So the falling in love with part of a relationship is so totally awesome. Don't get me wrong, I love it, everybody motherfucker loves it. But that's not where our love ends, that's just the beginning. It's the tip of the iceberg. Teeny tiny tip of the iceberg. Tip of the tip. Of the actual love that we are able to attain within ourselves and with our partners. But our fixation with this part doesn't allow us to see or move past that part. And so we have people hanging on to toxic, soul-deadening relationships that are sometimes abusive too, in like a desperation to hang on to that beginning part of the chemicals exploding in our brains, when it's not actually designed to stay that way. And it's not physiologically even possible. And because of this barrage of pop culture that we're like bombarded with all the time, coupled with whatever our trauma is, including our attachment style, we stay in situations and allow some pretty fucking awful shit to go down, all in hopes that we can hang on to that in-love feeling and have our fairy tale ending. We're always hoping that we receive that nurturing and that care that we might have never received from our early caregivers, and we hope and pray that we end up getting it from our partners, whether we're conscious of that shit or not. And we're like doing that with each other, and so therefore we won't be able to meet one another's needs because everyone's just like handing their little to one another. Here's my inner child, take care of my inner child. Oh, you have an inner, and so like inner children are taking care of inner children, and it doesn't fucking work. So we view things like throwing shit around and breaking plates and fucking yelling till our voice is hoarse and then fucking it all better, you know. We romanticize that shit. When in actuality, it's the fucking opposite. We are taught to objectify one another in relationship. And we look at our romantic relationships like prizes or achievements or things to be won. We never reach that part of our relationship that we view each other as two independent people, building and growing mutual trust, respect, and emotional support. We prioritize that love over things that actually keep us together in a relationship. Love is what brings us together, but it isn't the be-all and end-all of what keeps us together. For example, if we pick love over trust, then we will tolerate lying and cheating. If we prioritize love over respect, then we'll put up with being treated like a sack of shit. If we pick it over affection, then we'll tolerate a cold and distant relationship. So now, here we go. List fucking central. Here are 3 toxic traits in a relationship that you need to keep your eye out for. Like this. Number 1, jealousy disguised as love. Woo, Nelly. I have so much to motherfucking say about this because I myself have been in some jealous relationships. One in particular. And so I have my own personal experiences with it and know how toxic it can be. And it's also something that we romanticize in our culture as well. I mean, we all have moments of insecurity. We all have feelings of fear of abandonment and rejection. Nobody enjoys seeing the apple of our eye cozying up with who might potentially be a rival for us. It's normal to feel protective and guard the people that we love. So as we see in pop culture, jealousy is a sign that somebody likes you or loves you. And having pangs and moments of jealousy can be totally normal. But there's not a lot of space before it can become toxic in our relationships. And it becomes toxic when we start to indulge and feed those pangs and start to act impulsively from a place of suspicion and paranoia. And where there's a lot of insecurity in relationships, it has the potential to quickly grow into paranoia, an obsession, and it actually destroys the very relationship that we are so terrified that we're going to lose. So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. Ultimately, jealousy is like a fear of inadequacy and not being worthy enough and the fear of loss. Like a sneaky motherfucker, it tricks us. It tricks us into believing that our relationship is in imminent, immediate danger. And that makes it really difficult for us to tell the difference between natural feelings of protection and irrational suspicion. Here's what it does when it's toxic. When there's a demand, not request, demand for literally all of your fucking waking and sleeping time. In order to prove your love to this person, you're expected to spend every waking fucking moment with this person. You're expected to blow off your friends and to say fuck you to your family and your hobbies and your work and your projects and all your things and just hang out with them. And if not, you're guilted for it. They take it upon themselves to show up to the shit that you do, whether they were invited or not. You know, that weird possessive thing where they're just like there all the fucking time. But it's romanticized with, I love you. I've never felt this way before. I just can't stand to be away from you. Blah, 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 blah. I had an ex tell me once that if I truly loved him, I wouldn't need anyone else in my life. Literally no one. So if someone is the one, then you don't need other human beings ever again. So another little thing with that is when they monitor all of your communications, like they look at your phone, they look at your fucking social media, they demand your fucking passwords, they go through all your DMs, they get caught up on like the languaging of how you have conversations with people, like little words and what they mean. And that shit is not about love. It's about dominance and motherfucking control. They tell you that it's not... Okay, actually, I'll just give you an example of an ex that I had that said it wasn't conducive to have friends of the opposite sex, because I was into the opposite sex. It's not conducive to an adult relationship to have friends of the opposite sex. So this buddy that I had from when I was like 14 years old, I wasn't allowed to hang out with him. We like grew up together. But that wasn't conducive to an adult relationship. Fuck you. All this cockamamie cock-sucking shit May I also throw in that that ex who told me that I wasn't allowed to have dude friends had a best friend who was a girl. Hashtag double standards. Oh. Here's a little subtle one about jealousy that people may not know about. So for example, when they disapprove of like your favorite things. So say you're like, you get really excited about making sushi and you're like, wow, I fucking love this thing, making sushi. And they start to poke fun at it all the time, like make little passive aggressive comments and totally make fun of it or roll their eyes all the time. This is a form of jealousy. It's threatening to them that you have a hobby or an interest that doesn't involve them, and that you are capable of being happy without them. This directly threatens the relationship for them. Number 2, lost relationships. So have you gotten to the point in your life where you're barely spending any time with your family and friends, like you're always with your partner? This is going back to that jealous thing, but like, have you gotten to the point where you're isolated from them? And it could be for multiple reasons. It could be to avoid conflict with your partner, or it could be to avoid talking about your fucked up relationship with your family and friends because they're concerned and they love you. And so they're going to be like, so how are things with Daryl? And you're like, oh my God, they're shit. But you don't want to have those conversations and constantly make excuses for the crap that's going on in your relationship or your partner's shitty behavior. Toxic relationships can sometimes cause us to totally withdraw from our social lives. And the difference between toxic and abusive is that when it's abusive, when your partner forces you to stop spending time with your family and friends and takes you out of your support network. Examples are deleting contacts from your phone, getting in your face when you're trying to have a conversation with that person on the phone or on Zoom or whatever, and telling you that those people don't want to hear from you anyways. Toxic example number 3, walking on eggshells. Are you always hesitant to voice your opinion because you're afraid of humiliation, severe criticism, or you're nervous about your partner's emotional reactions? Do you find yourself dumbing shit down so that your partner feels like the smartest person in the room all the time? Do you struggle to know what your partner's response is going to be when you do or say something? Does every little thing set them off to the point where it spirals into an emotional tangent that's totally out of proportion? Are you always careful and over-calculative and spend all your time analyzing all of their behavior and their moods so that you can prevent their overreaction and deal with their potentially abusive behavior that might follow? Does it feel like you have to tiptoe around just to figure out their mood so that you can decide how to be for the rest of the evening? Do things change at the drop of a hat? Do you never know what your partner wants or how they want it? It's the feeling of playing chess, not being able to make a move before figuring out every single fucking move, all the possible counter movements on their part, and what moves you'll be able to make based on their moves. I'm just exhausted saying all of that and thinking about that because I've been in relationships like that, like my parents, for example. This is an exhausting dynamic to be in, and let's just call a spade a spade. This is emotional abuse. Straight up. And now, to counter all that shitty shit, we will talk about 3 signs of a healthy relationship. You both have boundaries and respect and honor one another's boundaries. Having healthy boundaries are a reflection of your principles, rules, and guidelines that you've set up for yourself to keep yourself safe and self-cared for. Disrespect of a boundary comes up when our partner breaks or ignores, or isn't aware of said principles, rules, and guidelines, or personal needs. Some examples of healthy boundaries: asking for space and receiving it, showing respect for a difference of opinion, perspective, and feelings, asking for permission or consent to talk about emotionally heavy things rather than just mindlessly dumping on our partners all the time, taking responsibility for one's words and actions, being able to say no and take a no. Number 2, healthy thing in a relationship: you're not afraid to speak up, which is literally the opposite of walking on eggshells. You're able to speak your truth without receiving harsh judgment or fucked up criticism. You feel safe talking about your opinions and about your feelings, bringing your concerns to your partner and showing a wide range of emotions. So when something bothers you that your partner is doing or isn't doing, you're able to bring up your concern and talk about it with them. Because it takes strength and confidence and courage to bring that kind of stuff because it's really vulnerable. So it's the idea of talking to your partner about your concerns about the relationship or their behavior rather than always turning to other people, which we do, but just don't do it all the time. So basically, it's just the idea of feeling safe and being able to bring shit to our partners. To talk through it and unpack it is a sign of security and healthiness in a relationship. Number 3, healthy sign. You both have independence. It is so important to have an identity outside of your partner. Yes, you are sharing your lives. You might be sharing a home, maybe sharing kids, but it's super important to have your own lives, your own hobbies, and your own friendships outside of the relationship. And seeing ourselves as individuals will make it a lot easier to be able to identify our needs and wants, and then being able to communicate that to our partner. Teamwork is definitely a thing, but we really need to make sure that we're finding a balance between I and we, so that we don't tumble down the fucking rabbit hole of codependency. Because it's bad. That's the fucking toxic trait right there. Codependency. Okay, so there you have it. You've got 3 signs of toxic traits in a relationship and 3 signs that things are, healthy in your relationship. There are many more signs that are toxic, many more signs that are healthy. I highly encourage you to Google it, watch other YouTube videos about it to start identifying some of the things that might be happening in your relationship. These are just a few breadcrumbs to plant some seeds for you to get curious and conscious and aware, so that you can do some digging of your own and find out what can be celebrated and continued on in your relationship versus what needs to be unpacked and worked on. And yeah, you might have both toxic shit and healthy shit happening in one relationship at the same motherfucking time. We so often live in the black and white, the good or evil, or toxic or healthy. Getting the nuanced way that life works and the 785 billion shades of gray that are out there. And that's what we actually live in, is all that gray. So the key is becoming conscious and aware of what's working in the relationship, maintaining it and growing it, nurturing it, as well as figuring out what needs to be healed. And changing a relationship, all that stuff that doesn't motherfucking serve us. Another thing that's absolutely crucial to help us understand what's going on inside of our relationships is to figure out how we show up in those relationships. And that can be determined by what our attachment style is. Knowing our attachment style is the key to stable, secure, and nurturing relationships. What is an attachment style? This is the style of how we relate to other people. This style of relating to other people is formed early at the very beginning of our lives. And once it's established, stays with us literally for fucking ever. It shows up in all of our relationships, friendships, how we raise our kids, should we choose to have them. Regardless of what our attachment style is, I want you to know that it's not like a shoe size. Your shoe size will never fucking change, but your attachment style can absolutely change because you can heal old shit. And guess what? Attachment style is exactly what we're going to be looking at and covering next week. So stay tuned. Now, I want to know, tell me, what toxic relationship issues are you struggling with? Are you confused about something that's happening in your dynamic and you're not sure if it's toxic or not? Well, put that shit in the comments below, ask a question, and let's have a conversation about it. We can talk through it. If you dug on this video, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, click on that little bell thingamajiggy, and you really need to stay tuned because trust me, there's so much good shit coming your way. So much good shit coming your way. Like, share, all the things. Okay, gurus, thank you so much for watching and for your endless support. I will see all you mofos next week. Peace.